My goodness. Hurtcore. Have you ever heard that?
Sounds familiar, but
Mm, mm.
just vaguely.
Guys, if you have not
Like
heard
on the
about
peripheral.
that, I don't think it matters for you to hear about it. But Hurtcore, do your research. The darkest spot of the web got there's some stuff happening online that you and I don't even we're not
Oh
even
yeah.
close to understand. There's a part of the internet, there's a part of the internet world I will say is like the ghetto.
Democracy is not perfect. It's never been good.
That sums up 2022 pretty well. Good evening and welcome to our Year in Review special report. 2022 was the year that we normalized drag shows for kids. We're making our ancestors proud. As we complete year 3 of the first 15 days to slow the spread, 2022 has been the incestuous birth child of mother corruption and her brother gaslighting. It's been a magnificent year thanks to our benevolent globalist leaders that sign my paycheck while enriching your life with premium levels of inflation, unifying levels of division, satiating levels of food shortages, and a securely wide open border. We'll also fondly remember 2022 as the year that young people started dying suddenly from a condition known as died suddenly. So tonight we're going to take a nostalgic walk down memory lane to re-traumatize you with the top stories from 2022. The year started with a frog sitting in a pot of hot water on the stove. Where did the frog end up? Stay tuned to find out. January 2022 started off with a bang when the FDA humbly asked for a quick turnaround of just 75 years to reveal their safety data on the Pfizer product. A reasonable time frame to request given that they already have the data and therefore could reveal it immediately, but 75 years would be a better option that fits the flow of the science fiction narrative we've all enjoyed acclimating to. Though conspiratorial eyebrows were raised from the 75-year request, unfortunately a judge, not controlled by Bill Gates or George Soros, gave them just 8 months. The since revealed data on its safety and effectiveness showed no correlation to safety or effectiveness. January was also the month that tens of thousands of freedom lovers gathered in Washington, D.C. to march against the mandates. Unifying over the principles of freedom, the dangerous fascists had their voices heard because we could not censor them. And most unfortunate about the march against the mandates, not even one of the freedom lovers was framed and thrown in prison as a political prisoner, as apparently the FBI was too busy to attend the event. January also saw the monumental launch of the Canadian truckers' Freedom Convoy, also protesting the mandates. The Freedom Convoy brought out the best leadership qualities of dictator Trudeau, seeing him try to starve the protesters, freeze their bank accounts, intimidate them, and rob them of their own donation money. Facing the national threat of citizens standing up for their freedom, Trudeau rose to the occasion by going into hiding, breaking old laws, and inventing new laws in order to assert the control that the World Economic Forum commands him to. I think we all stand in admiration of how Trudeau made his father Castro proud. And January closed out with the Joe Rogan Spotify controversy that started from Rogan having guests on his show like doctors that said things that turned out to be objectively true, and therefore were irrefutable misinformation. And to put the nail in Rogan's coffin, Neil Young left Spotify. And now, nearly a year later, the results of Young's power move are in. Nobody gave a shit, and Rogan's now stronger than ever. We hope Joe finally learned his lesson. February then said to the world, Happy Valentine's Day and fuck you, let's start World War III, as Russia invaded Ukraine. For a refresher on the nuanced details of this invasion, let's revisit Kamala Harris's breakdown.
So, Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically that's wrong.
A true wartime leader. The Russia-Ukraine invasion also gave birth to the year's most popular virtue signal. I stand with Ukraine. Kneel for the national anthem, but stand with Ukraine. It'd be great if we could somehow verify if China's subversive indoctrination strategies to weaken America are working. But I guess we'll never know. Nonetheless, never shy on a good virtue signal, we saw the LGBTQ community adopt the Ukrainian colors into their pride flag. Joke was on them, because Ukraine despises their community as they've banned gay marriage. And the joke continues to be on the Alphabet Soup community as they still haven't realized it yet. And in March, we saw history being made by trans swimmer Leah Thomas, who became the first woman who is a man to win the Women's NCAA Championship. Truly an empowering...
I just wanted to point out that Kamala Harris is a babbling idiot.
Yeah, she doesn't. She talks like. I think she is a lot more smarter than that. I think she is.
I don't think she is. I honestly don't think she is.
Wow.
I mean, if you look at her track record, the only reason she got promoted was because she was on her knees most of the time.
I heard that. That's just crazy. I wish it is not true. I wish it wasn't. Hey.
Yeah, well,
Oh boy, this politician. I was looking at on my phone. That's why I didn't pause right away. It's because Die Suddenly, that Die Suddenly movie.
Mm-hmm.
You will not believe the amount of pushback he's got online.
I'm sure.
They're all coming together. All the news channels are debunking it as misinformation.
Yeah.
Somebody said Die Suddenly, God, awful movie. Promote conspiracy theory. Die Suddenly. CNN goes after it. MSNBC goes after it. Die Suddenly, documentary. Why? Isn't it? Why? It's just another conspiracy movie.
So what does that tell you?
So that tells you everything about it is true.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you see them so adamant to condemn,
Yep.
yeah, they're also adamant to condemn a particular movie. It is because the things that are in the movie is true. We need to promote that movie because they know that movie exposed everything.
And it hit close to home.
Mm-hmm. And this is why Dr. Fauci said you can't be doing to tell the morticians that the coroners that you shouldn't be doing autopsy on anybody who passed away from C-19 and was being injected. Yep, because so you got doctors. You got doctors proving this stuff. You watch the movie; it shows you the videos.
Not doctors, coroners.
Coroners, yes, and doctors also spoke in the movie. We have also military personnel who came out and speak about their experience. We have journalists confirming things. You have evidence, video, bodies open up showing you the facts, and these guys come up. They all came out. You have to look it up. Just type Die Suddenly and you'll see what they're doing. And I like, look at that. It's a nice system. And they got a nice Wikipedia, of course, is on top of that. Die Suddenly, American anti-vax documentary film produced by Spew Peters. It promotes false claim about C-19 vax, Great Reset conspiracy theories. The film was released on Rumble and Twitter on November 21, 2022. Yeah. You ain't gonna fool some people. You can fool some people, but you're not gonna fool all of us.
Hey Mike, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Mike. It's good to see you, my man. They think, listen, guys, let me pause to just promote that and we're gonna finish with JP. Guys, go I'm sure that's probably gonna become a code word now that you can't even say it on certain channel. It's gonna become one of those things. Go online. I think you can find it on Rumble.
Can we say strike incoming?
Yeah, I know, right? They're gonna start striking people over that movie eventually. They don't want you to see this movie, and you need to go see it before they actually cancel it. They're trying to cancel
They're
this.
trying to discredit it before people watch it.
Yeah, they're trying to discredit this movie as much as possible, but don't let them do that to you. Watch this movie. If I could make copies and give to people, that's what I would do. And these whoever made this movie should actually sell the DVDs and stuff. You have to get this in people's hands because online they're gonna try to get rid of it. Go watch this movie here. Die Suddenly. We spoke about this. It's on Rumble. It's on our Rumble channel. We did like a 4 hours live stream about this. You need to see this. You need to see this. All right. You go online right now, you type Die Suddenly. I'll show you what they're doing. They are, the first thing they do, Wikipedia goes after it. They quickly style it as anti-vax. Just every Forbes magazine push unfounded depopulation. PolitiFacts, repeats debunks 19 vax claims. So it's like they all come together. I think only Fox News didn't even do that. That doesn't mean they won't. But I haven't seen them. I looked at a lot of other. Wow. Yo, look how push bogus depopulation theory.
Fact checkers. Who checks the fact checkers?
Yeah, they need to be checked. They were saying Mr. Laptop was also Russian disinformation. Yeah, y'all.
And how'd that turn out for him?
Yeah, Elon Musk came on the scene and changed the entire scope. Head of Russian shipwreck dies. Okay, the documentary. Why? Yeah, listen to what they say. Why is just another? It's like these people are paid. You could tell they are paid to talk like that. They are paid. Awful movie. It's like they are paid to do this. They have to write a script. They are given money to go online and literally turn the minds of the people. So if a person goes online looking for this and you start finding all these negative stuff, you just like, okay, no, sorry, I can't watch it. And most people don't know how to find this stuff. And automatically,
the thing is it's not a movie; it's a documentary.
It is. Die Suddenly film amplifies false C-19 vaccine, and this is not true. These are all lies. When you watch the thing yourself, you said, "Oh Lord, why will they go about attacking it so hard?" Unless they knew the things that were in there are actually true, and it is true. Actually.
You can go to our Look and Live.
Yeah. If you go to our Look and Live, there it is. Actually, there is the movie right here.
Yep.
You'll find it right here on Rumble. 15 million. Yeah, no wonder why they're afraid. I'll be afraid too. When 15 million Americans saw this, I'll be fearful too. Yeah, they don't want you to see this. They don't want you to see this. You don't want you to see this. They don't want you to see these coroners that are doing autopsies on bodies. And they don't want you to see those numbers. They don't want you to see those blood clots. They don't want you to see what they're seeing. This is what they're afraid of you seeing. Obviously. That's what it's called, conspiracy theory.
And if you want our take on it, you can check out Look and Live on Rumble. We did a full breakdown of it on Rumble.
Yep. Yeah, go to our live stream section, and there it is right there. Yep. Why are so many dying from the? We can't say that word.
Yep.
So we have a whole.
That is crazy business.
Yeah, we have a whole breakdown of that. So you go ahead. We had Megan on. Yeah, we talk about several things. You go and check that out. You go and check it out. Let's get back to JP. Die Suddenly. You need to watch this before they take it away. I'm gonna actually go online and actually download it because I think eventually you're not gonna be able to find it anywhere.
Yeah. Good evening, Jamie.
All right, let's finish.
Being made by trans swimmer Leah Thomas, who became the first woman who is a man to win the women's NCAA championship. Truly an empowering moment for women as they learn they have a rightful place in sports, unless a man wants to take their opportunity from them. In the name of women's rights, Long live the patriarchy. And who could forget the slap heard around the world when at the Oscars, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock harder than Leah's penis slaps against her leg on the way to the pool. And being the principled people that they are,
I'm sorry. Yo, JP, that should have been a PG-13 moment right here.
Hey, Mr.
Yo,
E.
Mr. E, my wife was talking about you last night. Literally, when we were on a live stream, we're like, yo, Mr. E. We haven't seen Mr. E. We wanted to wish you a happy new year. He said,
The slap heard around the world louder than Leah Thomas's penis slaps against her leg running to the changing room.
Just crazy. Yo, he's got issues, yo. He needs help.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta love his brand of comedy. I mean, it's just the way his mind works is just.
He kept
amazing.
a serious face too. He kept a serious.
That's the hard part. I think is like look at his face in all of this. It's like
yeah. We lied to you, news. We lied to you.
Oh my word.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think I could have kept a straight face to that.
Yeah. He did a good job on that suit, making sure that suit looks. Yeah, we lied to you, news. You're doing a great job, JP. Oh my goodness, he's got issues, yo.
around the world when at the Oscars, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock harder than Leah's penis slaps against her leg on the way to the pool. And being the principled people that they are, the Hollywood elites then proceeded to give Will Smith a standing ovation when he won an award later that night. And March was also the month that DeSantis signed the dreaded Don't Say Gay bill. Reading the finer print of the bill, it turns out it does allow you to say gay, be gay, but it does not allow you to sexualize young school children if you're a teacher. But not reading the finer print, which we don't do, the bill means that DeSantis hates the gays. And shockingly, there was outrage for a change. The Babylon Bee summarized it pretty well when they said, teachers who insist they're not teaching your kids about sex also weirdly outraged by ban on teaching your kids about sex. In the top story from April, a federal judge ruled that Biden's air travel mask mandate is illegal, and accordingly, the mask mandate was dropped immediately. As passengers began raw-dogging the air with their bare-ass faces, the devastating results on public health were that death and disease did not rise, but people's happiness did. In our eyes, both terrible results. In May, we said goodbye to Lucifer's sister, who was working as the White House press secretary, Jen Psaki. With a Hillary Clinton level of likability, Psaki was replaced by Karine Jean-Pierre, who specializes in being diversity. Through hard work and dedication to doing her job well, the sequel to Jen Psaki has since proven to be just as likable, but even more Pinocchio-like than Jen. However, the misogynists of this nation, which includes all men, have been delighted because Karine Jean-Pierre is at least a lot better looking than Psaki and her hideous red hair. In June started off with a bang as the documentary What is a Woman was released. This dangerously hateful film single-handedly eliminated all the safe space in the world as it posed common sense questions to people with no common sense. Though no one with blue hair has figured out what a woman is since, everyone else erroneously believes it is simply an adult female. And accordingly, later in the month, history was made when the George Soros-backed Judge Ketanji Jackson became the first black woman sworn into the Supreme Court who doesn't know what a woman is. This event helped us learn that the three most important qualifications for being hired by the Biden administration are not knowing what a woman is, not knowing what the Constitution is, and not knowing where Epstein's client list is. Speaking of which, June saw Ghislaine Maxwell be
Darth Vader, lately I've done a little bit of research on Epstein, and wow. My only thing is wow. Not only
that's a deep rabbit hole, my man.
that exposes a level of perversion and corruption that I can understand why this client list can be revealed, because there are some people
That's
that,
why they don't want it revealed.
yeah, he cannot, because they don't want it out there. If it does, it will cripple the system. It will literally put the country on its knees. Um, but I'll tell you what. So let's think about this. This man got caught in New York, at least
Mhm,
the second time. He didn't get a plea deal, so on. He was gonna spend time in prison. A high profile individual
mhm.
connected to a lot of individuals
Who
who's
are high
already
profile
thought
as
to be,
well.
well, high profile as well. Federal prison.
Mhm.
Uh, he is known to be suicidal. So he was removed on suicide watch. His cameras were turned off a month in advance. I mean, a
Mhm.
month after being in prison. Just 1 month. The guards were being overworked,
Well,
according.
the suicidal ideations it was a claim. It wasn't actually proven.
That's what was said. So he was left to himself.
He had a roommate.
The roommate was also removed.
Mm-mm. No, he wasn't.
Okay, because according to my research, I found that the roommate was taken out of his room as well. He was left alone.
Mm-mm.
Okay, that's something else to think about. And then all of a sudden, he's gone. Was this really suicide, or was this something else? I don't
And
know.
if you actually look at the autopsy report, his neck was broken. And the only way for his neck to be broken the way it was by hanging or purposely broken like that.
Somebody could have.
Snapped his
So,
neck.
but hanging, did they found him hung? That's a question.
Steven Crowder did a whole thing on it.
I need to look that up. But
Hmm.
anyway, I'm just saying, I looked it up. I was blown away. I watched like 4 or 5 different videos about this, and I was reading, and I said, "Wow, this is fishy." I heard about his name before. I just never looked into the story. And when I did, and I saw the connections that he had, and who was coming to that island, there was one of these ladies that were speaking out. Yeah, his supposed girlfriend and her parts in the game. Yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell. I said, yo, oh, this is dirty business.
Hmm.
And you can
And
understand what's happening here with Balenciaga, what's happening. And in my research also, I fell against something called hurt. Oh my goodness. Hurt core. Have you ever heard that?
sounds familiar, but
Mm,
vague,
mm.
just vaguely,
Guys, if you have not
like
heard
on the
about
peripheral.
that, I don't think it matters for you to hear about it. But hardcore, do your research. The darkest part of the web got there's some stuff happening online that you and I don't even we're not
Oh
even
yeah,
close to understand. There's a part of the internet, there's a part of the internet world I will say is like the ghetto, and and
it's
deep.
worse than the ghetto. Like if
Yeah,
you don't have like really good internet protection, you just don't go there.
yeah, yeah. From what I heard, you have to have certain browsers. Uh, yeah, there's money involved. It's a dark, dark place. And what these people were doing there, if you heard of Hurtcore, it's a business. It involves children. It involves torture. It is live streamed, and people are paying money to watch this stuff. I could not believe it. I could not believe that's happening. And some of these people, some of them had a connection to what was happening with, and some of these people are in leadership position, by the way. And that's why Mr. Epstein's story is so significant to understand, because it exposes a lot of some of this stuff.
And that's why I think you need to watch Steven Crowder, because he actually goes through and recreates
The entire thing.
what
Could you
happened.
send it
I've
to
seen.
me on my Discord? I'll
Yeah.
check it out. Yeah. All right. Let's finish with JP. I just wanted to bring that to light, guys.
Become the first person ever convicted of trafficking minors to literally no one, apparently. We at the media, along with our sponsors, appreciate her keeping her mouth shut so we can continue protecting the guilty from the innocent. And June closed out with a tremendous performance from President Biden, complete with shaking hands with air again, getting lost on stage, calling on a dead congresswoman, getting lost on stage again, shaking hands with even more air, and then celebrating a job well done by spiking himself like a football right into the ground as he fell off his bike. And not much happened in July. Just the Dutch farmers started a massive protest because they still want to be able to grow what's called food. These fascist farmers chose to resist the Green New Deal orchestrated by the World Economic Forum that wants to shut down their farms because, scientifically speaking, starvation helps fight climate change. Well, farmers, guess who's getting a poor social credit score? Little do the farmers know, Santa Claus Schwab is always watching, and he's making a list, and he's checking it twice. And we'll just skip Independence Day because it hurts our cause. And in July, we also declared monkeypox an emergency. But unfortunately, no one gave a shit about the boy crying wolf this time. But through great scientific investigation, it was discovered that 95% of monkeypox cases were coming from made when the George Soros-backed Judge Ketanji Jackson became the first black woman sworn into the Supreme Court who doesn't know what a woman is. This event helped us learn that the three most important qualifications for being hired by the Biden administration are not knowing what a woman is, not knowing what the Constitution is, and not knowing where Epstein's client list is. Speaking of which, June saw Ghislaine Maxwell become the first person ever convicted of trafficking minors to literally no one, apparently. We at the media, along with our sponsors, appreciate her keeping her mouth shut so we can continue protecting the guilty from the innocent. And June closed out with a tremendous performance from President Biden, complete with shaking hands with air again, getting lost on stage, calling on a dead congresswoman, getting lost on stage again, shaking hands with even more air, and then celebrating a job well done by spiking himself like a football right into the ground as he fell off his bike. And not much happened in July. Just the Dutch farmers started a massive protest because they still want to be able to grow what's called food. These fascist farmers chose to resist the Green New Deal orchestrated by the World Economic Forum that wants to shut down their farms because, scientifically speaking, starvation helps fight climate change. Well, farmers, guess who's getting a poor social credit score? Little do the farmers know, Santa Claus Schwab is always watching, and he's making a list, and he's checking it twice. And we'll just skip Independence Day because it hurts our cause. And in July, we also declared monkeypox an emergency. But unfortunately, no one gave a shit about the boy crying wolf this time. But through great scientific investigation, it was discovered that 95% of monkeypox cases were coming from gay orgies. The gay community responded by continuing to have gay orgies, though the recommended guidelines of having sex with no more than 15 people at a time continue to be in place. July also saw a conspiratorial ginger appear on Tucker Carlson. Gingers definitely don't have souls. Right, Jen?
We'll circle back with you directly.
Yeah, just let me know when you figure it out. Moving on to August. August saw our national security take a big step forward in reducing the security of our nation when the FBI raided Trump at Mar-a-Lago. After the FBI agents were done sniffing Melania's underwear, masturbating into Trump's socks, and giving each other handjobs while admiring each other's mustaches, the nation had more peace knowing that the weaponized federal agency was protecting us from domestic patriots. And in September, as summer was winding
Yo, what was done to Mr. Trump? It goes on record as one of those things that happened 2020, 2022. That was foul, man.
It's never been done in the history of the U.S. ever to any president.
the FBI are losing all level of credibility in the eyes of the people, and that should be concerning.
Mm-hmm.
Very.
Down, the heat was elevating in Iran when the ruling regime killed a young lady for not wearing her face covering properly for her protection. Fauci reportedly experienced unprecedented levels of envy, given that he's never received the green light to directly kill people for not wearing their face coverings correctly. But in Iran, the event sparked off never-before-seen protests against the authoritarian regime. But in the name of preserving democracy, the regime responded to the protesters by sentencing over 15,000 of them to death. With regard to the atrocities, liberals in the US wisely comforted each other by reminding themselves something like that could never happen here. This just in! Believing that could never happen here is exactly what it takes for something like that to happen here. And that's exactly what we want, so please keep believing that. Later in September, the nation then enjoyed the lovely fall colors of deep blood red and black that were on display at Hunter's dad's speech in Philadelphia. You probably remember it as a deeply unifying speech where Biden labeled half the country as dangerous extremists who threaten our democracy. September also saw the passing of Queen Elizabeth, along with DeSantis passing illegal immigrants into the open, loving, accepting arms of compassionate liberals in Martha's Vineyard, who then, in the name of equity, immediately ejected the immigrants out of there as fast as they possibly could. In October, the deep state got spooked when Italy elected Giorgia Meloni. To celebrate the first female prime minister being elected, we at the media ran a women's empowerment campaign smearing her as a far-right fascist out to destroy democracy. We've labeled a lot of inconvenient things as a threat to our democracy this year. Do you think people are still buying it?
No.
Well, then we should probably keep doing it. Meanwhile, while testifying before the European Parliament, a Pfizer executive admitted that they never tested to see if their product stops transmission. And of course, that's just paperwork, so who cares? And on October 28th, in an obvious attempt to destroy democracy, we're being honest this time, Elon Musk purchased Twitter in an effort to save free speech. Men with too little testosterone and women with too much armpit hair had to shelter in place due to the trauma of it. To this day, they continue sheltering in place, pacified in the coffin of their comfort zone, just like they're supposed to be doing. And November was a big month, as Sam Bankman-Fried took a break from his penthouse nerd orgies so he could get caught in the second biggest Ponzi scheme in US history with FTX collapsing. In doing so, FTX took a bit of a market plunge, going from $32 billion down to $0. Now is probably a good time to buy. You always want to buy at the dip. And the biggest Ponzi scheme on record continues to be the Federal Reserve. In the November midterms, the expected red wave turned out to be just mild spotting in the underpants. Dangerous Republicans missed out on taking the Senate majority, but did win the majority in Congress. The big wins for the Democrats were Maricopa County doing what Maricopa County does. And also in Pennsylvania, the first ever tumor having sex with a hoodie was elected to the Senate. Though he's taken unfair criticism from red voting extremists saying he doesn't have a brain, let the record show that Fetterman does have a brain. He just can't use it. And in December, Christmas came early for all 11 WNBA fans when Brittany Griner was released from Russian prison in exchange for a notorious Russian arms dealer known as the Merchant of Death. The trade turned out to be kind of like the FTX of human trading. Very valuable. Though Griner is better at basketball than the Merchant of Death, she is not as good at selling weapons to foreign nations that want to kill Americans. In this trade, Never Leave a Man Behind Biden decided to leave a Marine behind in Russian prison so that Griner could come back to America so she could have the opportunity to not stand for the national anthem once again. But there was a somber note in December. The American dream came to an end for the entire 3 people who actually thought the Liver King was all natural when it was exposed that he is in fact on steroids. Him being on steroids and looking like he's on steroids were impossible clues for these people to see until he was exposed. Our condolences to anyone who actually gives a shit. But it wasn't all somber in December. On an uplifting note, Canada began heavily pushing a breakthrough medical treatment called medical assistance in dying. It's where instead of helping you, they kill you. Trudeau's father couldn't be more proud as he burns in hell. And finally, Brittany Griner wasn't the only thing released in December. In the most noteworthy story of the year, Elon started releasing what are known as the Twitter files. Government-sponsored censorship, the FBI's involvement, shadow banning and deplatforming conservatives, covering up Hunter Biden's laptop, hiding truth about... Yeah, well, we worked really hard not to cover any of the bombshell truth that's come to light, and we'll continue working hard to avoid covering the biggest story of the year. Why?
This distraction that is a full of old news.
Exactly. The truth is just a distraction from the narrative. We couldn't agree more. Now, let me continue narrating to you. In closing, what happened to the frogs that started the year sitting in pots of heating water on the stove? Well, a few frogs remained comfortably in the boiling water, but unfortunately 2022 saw many of the frogs realize what was happening and jump out. So in 2023, we'll be thoroughly dedicated to coaxing them right back into the pot from which they came. How will we do that? Well, can you say climate crisis? As we say goodbye to 2022, we also say good riddance to the 112 food processing plants that were destroyed by mysterious fires and explosions throughout the year. I wonder what happened. And we know that you know that history will repeat itself unless lessons are learned. So be sure to forget all the valuable lessons learned during 2022 so we can repeat the same tactics on you next year. We'll keep doing the same thing over and over again while getting you to expect a different result. Because that's how we work. That's it for tonight's news. We appreciate you tuning in all year and thank you for being ignorant enough to turn to us as your trusted news source. We wish you a happy propagandist new year and we'll see you in hell. Good night. What's up, my friend? Me and this baby goat would like to invite you to join me on my...
Okay, JP. Okay, JP.
Yeah, he went hard.
He went non-stop. He was rough with it. He held nothing back. It's true, man. That year is to be remembered. Oh gosh.
112 food processing plants.
Yeah, we still don't know what happened. They were just burnt down.
And we're wondering why we're having a food shortage.
No, we don't know. We don't know why. Just
couldn't possibly understand why.
No way. I mean, that could not have anything to do with it. You know, things like that could not have anything to do with it. Guys, we thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. So much could be said. 2022, he's behind us. 2023's year. I look at it like this. It's one step closer to the second coming of Jesus. And for those of you who are not in Christ, it's time to make it happen. Okay, so we don't know how much time we have left to live, but we know things are not going to get easier. I don't want to be a naysayer, but I'm not going to give you false hope either. When I read my Bible, the Bible says things will get worse. But it gets darker before it gets brighter. Darkness before dawn, man.